Hello, it's Lynn Watts here from Wyatt the Wonder Dog Books, and today I'm going to be talking about three different books that you can use in either the classroom or even individually or in small groups to teach children about emotional regulation. Now, if you're wondering what is emotional regulation, then take a look back at a previous video that I did all about what emotional regulation is and why it's important. But basically, it means helping children recognize and cope, express emotions in an appropriate way, in a way that is beneficial for them and also for those around them. So we know that children, especially, learn best through story. So whether you're doing a lesson on how to cope with emotions, or whether you're working individually with a child who's maybe challenged by that, these are some good books that you can use. And I didn't write any of them. I also don't get anything for promoting them. I just like to try and help you find resources that can assist you in the important work that you do with children. So the very first book is really a classic. It's been around quite a while, and I used it a lot in the classroom myself when I was teaching about feelings. So the title of it is When Sophie Gets Angry, Really, Really Angry. And the author of this book is Molly Bang. So here it is again. It's a Caldecott award-winning book. The basic story in the book, which is illustrated with some very vivid illustrations. For instance, here's a picture of Sophie, and you can see she is very angry. There's a lot of red used in this book and the illustrations. But basically, she gets very angry because one of her siblings wants to share a truck with her. She doesn't want to share. Her mother says she has to share. And she pretty much loses it because she is so angry. The gist of the story is her just really kind of sitting with that feeling. Actually, first she runs away from the environment and then gets out in the woods, and she begins to calm down due to the calming effect of the woods around her. Then she climbs a tree and she's more relaxed, and she watches water and so forth. And eventually she comes back, enters back into the relationships with her family, and is able to share with her sibling. So it's a whole cycle of feeling very angry, of feeling out of control, not getting her way, then doing some things that are relaxing to her, and then entering back into the relationship. So it is a positive story. It's one that you can use to talk about the feeling, about the body language involved, and about different techniques for coming to grips with that feeling. All right, the next book that I want to share is written by Sue Graves. It's part of a series that she's written on our emotions and behavior. And this one is called Not Fair, Won't Share. So this particular story is about several children in a classroom. Their teacher creates a space station, and they all have to take turns and share in the space station. So she draws some names out of a hat, and those first children get to play in this space station. And when it comes time for one of them to give up her turn and let someone else come in, she gets very angry. She won't share. She won't share the helmet that's part of the space station. And then two of the other students, because she won't share, get very angry as well. One of them pushes her, one of them grabs the helmet, and so on. So there's some very specific things that happen that indicate how they feel. And in fact, and I think this is a very interesting and good part of the story, if I can get the picture in here, the teacher also gets angry with them about their behavior. So nice part about this book is that it's not just about kids getting angry, but it also normalizes the fact that we all get angry, even adults, and that adults have to learn how to cope with that feeling. So I think that's a very nice part of the story. So because they're all angry, they each have to go off to another area. One goes to the reading corner, one to the art corner, one to the computer, and the teacher relaxes and counts to 10 herself. So each one of them has some time off by themselves to kind of process what happened and to relax and to get over that feeling. Then once, of course, that happens, she reassigns them to the Space Center because they have a different perspective, because they are not feeling that feeling so intensely. They are able to cooperate and to share, and they have fun. They're happy. So you have another feeling that you can talk about there. This book at the end has a section where it encourages students to create a story themselves that's similar based on the idea of sharing and feelings. And then at the end, it has a note about sharing this book, and which is for adults, how to use the book to teach children about feelings. So really a very comprehensive lesson that you could use, as I said, either in a classroom or individually. Part of that whole series, which I also want to include, since this is about feelings, another feeling that you might spend some time identifying and helping children how to cope with is feeling afraid or feeling scared. This is called Who Feels Scared, and it's written by the same author. So it has pretty much the same format. In this one, there's several children, and they're spending the night together. One of them thinks he hears a lion, another a tiger. They're all afraid. They hide, but one of the boys says, nope, that isn't a lion or tiger. It's Gus, his dog. And that's not scary. So it's a very interesting take on each one of the situations where someone's afraid, but someone is not. And that person who is not can help the others gain a different perspective on feeling afraid, why they don't need to be afraid, how they can explain the situation, or in some situations that come up, how they can simply cope with something that seems frightening to them. So again, some really good coping mechanisms, teaching about feelings, about coping with feelings, about perspective. And then at the end of the story, once again, there's an opportunity for kids to use what they learned about feelings and to tell their own story, like what's happening here, what do you do about feeling afraid, how can you deal with that. And the final part is a note about sharing the book and how to use the book as you read it, what things you might point out to children, and so forth. So 3 really great books all about emotions that you could use in lessons, helping children identify feelings and recognize them, talk about body language, talk about coping with those feelings, and an added benefit of teaching children about regulating their own feelings is it helps them to learn how others are feeling, to recognize how others feel at the same time, which means what? They're developing empathy. So each one of these books can be used in that way. So I hope you find that helpful as you help teach children about this very, very critical skill to develop in young children. Thanks so much for listening.